Nope.
Hey! So, on this episode of Scottie Watches, I'm here with Denham and Tony, and we just saw Atomic Blonde.
Yup.
That we did.
What did you guys think then?
I liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's enjoyable, if not a bit. It felt long. I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, felt like it was dragging on a bit, and I mean, there was a lot of space in between the action scenes for
true.
a film that really marketed itself as a
Lady
guns
John
blaring
Yeah.
fight scene action movie.
Lesbian John Wick, yeah. Lesbian John Wick it was not.
No.
I
No.
mean, it did have a lesbian love scene.
It
That
did.
much was granted, but
I think more accurate would be like lesbian James Bond.
Yeah,
Maybe so.
because it was more, like I was saying before, it had that confusing quality that I find in Bond movies or spy movies in general.
Oh,
right?
like all
Where-
espionage type of
Yeah,
convoluted.
I'll often get lost in a very convoluted plot. That was very convoluted.
Well, I think it was pretty straightforward till the end. But, I mean, without wishing to spoil, I don't think, upon reflection, the twist makes any sense. But I can't explain why.
The very last twist, I don't
I
understand.
don't think... I understand it, I just don't think it makes sense. Go on.
I mean, I feel like I understand it, but I also feel like it wasn't necessary.
Wasn't
But-
necessary?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the subject matter, so as an
Cold
outsider,
War?
perhaps. Well, no, not the Cold War, but well, how do I put this without giving it away?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like the tangled web of espionage.
Pretty much,
Oh,
and
okay,
the different
yeah.
countries, allies.
Right. Fair enough.
I actually thought it, up until that last twist, the very last twist, I actually thought it was starting to clear up for me, where if I went and watched it again, I would know a different way to watch it and different things to watch for.
Fair enough.
And so I think I might actually enjoy it better.
I don't
That's all
know.
I get.
I think, like, I get how it... I don't know how to put this. I get how it, like, was supposed to work. I just don't think in the continuity of the movie it actually makes any sense. I don't think, like, narratively it makes any sense at all. But I can't explain why, so...
Yeah, and that's kind of why, that's kind of the telltale sign to me that the movie is a little too convoluted.
Well, I don't know. It was just... I just don't think it made sense. There's a lot of twists that don't make sense in tons of stuff.
And going back to the whole John Wick thing, or lesbian John Wick.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't think that she could merit the title of female John Wick, but I think that's part of what I really enjoyed about this film.
I think it's the best part of
she's
that,
not this superhuman killing machine.
Yeah.
She's not the Baba Yaga who just
Yeah.
leaves a pile of, like an unspeakable number pile of bodies
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
that
she does
is
have
legend.
Yeah, she does have an impressive kill count, of course, but in that one scene, she gets the ever-living crap beaten out of her.
We're talking about the one where she's fighting the the one Russian agent when she's with the what's his face?
Or just that
she's
that entire scene in the stairwell and then
Right.
leading up to
That
it.
was
That,
the,
I think,
that
is the
was
best
scene.
scene.
Yeah,
best scene in the movie.
definitely.
I think it sort of shares that characteristic with John Wick, though.
In a
that,
sense, though, but
like they get the crap beaten out of them and they look exhausted and they wear all their scars and bruises and stuff.
That was starting to crack me up toward the end of that fight scene when
Oh,
she's
where
like
they're
gasping
stumbling around and
Yeah, they're stumbling, falling against the wall.
I wonder if that was
eating
meant to
each
be
other with
comical because it
lamps,
definitely
hot
was.
plates.
Yeah, a hot plate to death. I would like to see a movie about the guy she was fighting. Like, gets stabbed in the eye with a corkscrew a couple times, stabbed in the neck with a corkscrew, and then he's still there, like, comes out of the car. That is not a survivable...
Oh,
No, that's-
that killed me when you thought the stairwell fight was over and she gets her, the person she's transporting out of the building
Yeah.
and into a car, and you're like, oh, thank God, they're gonna get away in the car. And then the dude comes and he jumps on the hood of the car.
Yeah, and then I Corkscrew Man just shows back up again. I want to see that guy's movie. I want to see like
I
the
don't
sequel,
think that
but it
was-
stars him.
I don't think that was Corkscrew, man. I think that was a different guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the guy that got stabbed in the eye with the corkscrew.
It's
The-
hard to
the-
tell because all of those,
Well, it was the blonde one with the weird haircut and the
Yeah.
white turtleneck.
yeah, all those are all John Wick stuntmen, and they all get recycled through scene after scene, and they
Yeah, true.
all
He
very-
shows up a couple times.
all
though, but-
very beardy.
Yeah, I want to see his movie. The movie
Adventures
is.
of Boris the Beast or
Yeah.
something to that effect.
That's good. I like that. The Adventures of is underused these days. The Adventures of
I
whatever.
guess so. 'Cause it's
Especially in like
contrived,
Cold
but-
War espionage movies, you don't see too many of the Adventures of.
No, I suppose not.
Yeah,
Hopefully, the sequel is called The Adventures of the Atomic Blonde.
yeah. The Adventures of the unstabbable corkscrew eye Russian thing guy. We'll work on the title. The
Keys
title
in the
needs
cheek.
work. The keys in the the key in the
Oh,
cheek.
That
yeah,
made
I-
me cringe.
Yeah, me too a little bit. Like
I called BS on that a little bit though because he pulled that out. And that's your face. Your face bleeds a lot.
I mean, not only that, but it was like, this is going to make for great radio. It was like here, like right underneath the sort of bulge of the cheekbone. There is a bone right underneath there. So if it was going in, that would have hurt like absolute hell. And when he pulled it out, ugh. I think that should have been a little more. I mean, I guess the point was to establish the guy as a hard ass,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Which it did.
But the whole rest
I
of the
don't know his
movie,
name,
I
though.
think like that one bit doesn't fit. The whole rest of the, like the aesthetic of the fights is all it is hard to fight. Like it leaves you covered in scars and bruises and cuts and shit.
Uh-huh.
And that's like the one time it deviates, where getting a key in the face is just a thing you can walk off. And not even walk off. It
That
didn't
would-
even bother him when it went in his face.
That would have dropped me easy.
It would have dropped probably anybody who's real.
Shit, I don't know what I would make of that. Just oh god, there's a key ring in my fucking
key in my goddamn
face.
face. Yeah.
Pardon my French.
Yeah, it's I don't know about that. It was entertaining, but I think it would have fit more in like a something that wasn't taking itself seriously type of
Yeah.
comedy thing.
I still enjoyed it, and it was convoluted, but I'm the kind of dummy who sees a convoluted movie and wants to watch it again out of a determination to try and understand what's going on.
How many times have you seen Inception?
I had given up on Inception. I was
It was
just
just too
because it got dull, and then my brother came to me and he's like, my brother's way smarter than me. He's probably a genius, and he's like, no, and you gotta watch Inception again. The whole thing is a dream. And I was like, oh, that's the thing that people are joking about.
no
yeah.
shit.
But then he told me things to watch for,
Oh yeah.
and he was right. He was
Very
totally
cool.
right.
Well-
Like Cobb's totem is supposed to be at the top,
Mm-hmm.
except other people know how the top works.
Right.
And your totem,
Ah,
only you are supposed to know how it works.
interesting.
His real totem, but I think he's so lost in dream world, he doesn't remember what his totem is. His
Okay.
real totem is his wedding ring. So whenever he is supposed to be in a dream,
Mhm.
he's got his wedding ring on. And whenever he's supposed to be awake, no wedding ring.
Huh.
And so I was thinking, oh, cool. So that'll reveal whether it's a dream or not at the end with the top. Because in that last scene, I'll see if he's wearing his wedding ring.
Right.
You can't see
Can't
his
see his
wedding
hand.
ring hand. Like, it's
Here's the thing.
blatantly concealed.
Is that? How do you know that's intentional? Like that could just be like,
Because it's Christopher Nolan. and
because well yeah
he's
true,
way up
everything's
his own
intentional,
arse
but
about everything.
Arse.
sounds weird with the eye. But I mean the thing about you know what I think this in itself is like the best criticism of Atomic Blonde we're gonna get is we've got more like talking there out of a little throwaway mention of Inception than we got from just watching 2 hours of Atomic Blonde.
I still liked Atomic Blonde.
I liked it. I think it. I don't know. I think it dragged really hard.
It did. It did drag, but it did deliver on a lot of the things that I was looking for in a movie directed by David Leitch.
You see names. You're the names guy.
John Wick director.
Oh, he did John Wick. as
So
well.
he it delivered on stunning like colors
I'll give you that.
in every scene,
Mm-hmm.
like you see in especially John Wick 2.
He likes his neon.
Yeah, well, there's always these great shots of like a character's face where one side of their face is lit with like blue and the other side is lit with some kind of pink, and it's just, it looks beautiful. And so I was looking for that kind of stuff. There were 2 or 3 really good fight scenes.
Oh yeah, the fight scenes were
They
great.
were just gorgeous. I loved the stairwell fight.
Mm-hmm.
That whole sequence is, for like a 10-minute stretch of the movie maybe, is meant to look like one shot.
Oh yeah.
And it was just beautiful to look at.
Yeah, go to that kind of thing.
And it, I mean, you can never complain really about beautiful actresses being pretty carefree with their boobs.
Carefree with their boobs. Nicely put.
There was a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm not complaining. That there was. And there was some lesbo action going on, and I'm not
Yeah,
complaining.
did we mention that?
I don't think we did. You know, I think...
We definitely said lesbian John Wick.
Well, we
a
mentioned
few
that,
times.
right, but...
I was being sarcastic, but
Charlize Theron and Sofia Boutella definitely look good together,
well, yeah.
to put it politely.
Yeah. Safe bet. I mean, it would have been. I think,
but the French accent kind of threw me off.
what was that?
I don't know. I'm just not used to that.
You know,
I'm pretty sure that actress is really French, though.
Is she though?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm glad you mentioned accents, because it's the very last... Oh, man. I gotta be careful here.
We're gonna spoil stuff, people. Okay? Just...
And nobody's listening anyway.
No, no one's listening yet.
The thing right at the end that happened, I'm glad that happened, because her accent was just bad enough to be bothersome, like the whole way through.
I'll take your word for it.
Fair enough.
You don't
Yeah.
think Charlize does a good British?
It wasn't great. There was a lot of, like... I think had another Brit heard it, like, and it wasn't a movie, and there's no, like...
I think
If
part of...
somebody acknowledged they were an A, you're an American.
Yeah, part of the problem, like when it was revealed at the end that she's American, I was like, oh
Spoiler
yeah, that
alert.
makes sense. But
Yeah, that's the thing I was going
Like,
to not say.
It's
all
like-
of whatever, all of her line delivery though, like she talks very low
Yeah.
and pretty relaxed, and as an American who tries to do British accents,
Yeah.
it's hard to do a good British accent if you're keeping your voice that low energy.
Fair. I mean,
Well, just speak in a southern accent and then speed it up. you ever hear that?
no.
No, I've never tried that. I'll have to try that.
Like a southern sort of like a redneck type of thing, and then speed that up.
They're like, old timer South. You know, I'm just
Oh, like the-
I'm just a small town lawyer.
Okay, that's pretty goddamn good actually. So that but sped up. Interesting.
Yeah, it's
I've never heard that before.
it kind of sort of
I'm going to experiment with that now.
try it. Yeah,
Let's do
it's weird.
You know what? I would also like to see more of the guy who was like the I don't know, like police captain, the really scary big Russian guy with the grey tie and the
Oh yeah, what
trench
happened
coat.
to him?
He was in 2 or 3 scenes, but
I don't even remember
he
him.
was. I thought they were setting him up as the villain. You know, at the beginning, the bit with the skateboard, he's smashing that guy.
Oh, yeah.
with the skateboard.
The dude. Yeah,
It
he was a
I always
scary
thought
guy.
they were setting him up to be the villain, and
Well, wasn't that the guy that she in that very like the last scene
right, yeah, it is.
shot
but,
him
like,
in the face?
Spoiler alert, that happens too. Yeah, it was, but like I felt like he felt like a good villain. He felt like if they ever want to recast Bane, I think he'd be a good Bane if he could do it Spanish voice.
Really,
I don't know,
I didn't think he was big
but
enough.
he's like sort of big and imposing. It's probably just that first scene with all the prisoners, hostages. I don't know.
I don't even
but-
know. I think they were just
The social deviants.
yeah.
Yeah, the social
They were
deviants.
just punks who were breakdancing and skateboarding.
Yeah.
This goes against the principles of our revolution, or
Yeah.
some bullshit like that.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
cool. big, scary, imposing sort of
In
guy.
Soviet Russia, you do not breakdance on cardboard. Cardboard breakdance on you.
But I feel like though finding out that she was American was a convenient enough explanation as to why John Goodman was there, being John Goodman.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
See,
In
and
Great Britain in an MI6 facility,
Yeah.
it was very obviously American.
see, I need to
Well,
watch it again.
I mean,
now.
it was supposed to be. Like, that wasn't like a. You know.
I need to
a
watch it again
hidden
now
detail.
because I feel compelled to comb through and be like, is this a good movie or is it just wicked confusing?
I don't think it was terribly confusing. I just think it
I
doesn't make
didn't either,
a ton
but
of sense. Well,
there-
the last stuff doesn't make a ton of
There
sense.
was like a main thread with getting the list and getting the dude and his family out of the country,
Mhm.
but then there was a lot of like distracting
Same
side
plot as
stuff.
Skyfall. It was the list gets released. I think it's Skyfall.
Oh yeah.
Remember he gets shot on a train. Is that Skyfall? I think that's Skyfall, isn't it? Or is it the one
I've-
before Skyfall?
I think Skyfall is the one that. Yeah, that's the one where Silva is gonna release.
Right. Yeah.
Bunch
yeah.
of names.
We're that same sort of plot, kind of.
I think that's the plot of most spy movies.
True,
these
because
days.
it's like dead easy to. Like it's a perfect plot device, and like you
There's-
needs no.
yeah.
There's no like moral grey area. It's a thing you have to go do.
Yeah.
Where you have to get the list of names back. So yeah, it's just an easy sort of device, isn't it?
I'm a little tired of that plot though. The
Yeah, I suppose.
the thing that makes it that gives Atomic Blonde a pass for me is just like the visual style, and
Fair enough. I think also
it's good to look at.
like Charlize Theron's character is a bit Batman-y, if you know what I mean. Like a bit sort
Not
of
exactly.
no, a bit sort of like you know that like typical pained, grizzled archetype that's every protagonist basically these days. She didn't seem to have, like she wasn't like a person. She was just,
She didn't have a puppy driving her. Like John Wick.
Oh yeah, you mean literally a puppy? I thought it was like a phrase I didn't know.
No.
Like,
Like she
literally,
didn't have a puppy
Right.
driving her motor.
She just sort of
which
came
everyone-
across as like an archetype, which like Batman absolutely is. Like he's just a sort of grizzled,
Yeah. that-
angry archetype.
Yeah, and she
Not a
and-
lot of depth, I don't think.
No, like her character could have been anybody really, because the whole thing is that she's thrown in the middle of you know, the spy game gone wrong
Yeah.
on purpose to draw out a rogue agent,
Mhm.
and so her character's whole purpose was really to bait other characters who are actually up to stuff.
Yeah.
So anything that she thinks she's in Berlin for really doesn't matter because she's just bait for something else entirely.
I thought,
So,
I think
and, like,
it's sort
she
of
could have
part
been
of the
anybody.
Problem with the twist not making sense. But you know, you already gave one away. I want to give them all away. I feel like you were mid-sentence then, and I cut you off.
I don't even remember at this
Damn
point,
it.
but
Come on, man.
another aspect I did enjoy about this movie was the setting.
Oh, yeah,
Ver-
yeah.
At the very end of the Cold War, it's not a very. I don't feel it's a very explored
Oh yeah, you're
Time
right.
it's
true,
I
like,
did,
right
I
when the
did
walls
see
came
cinema.
down.
You know, maybe
Yeah.
because it's so recent.
Yeah.
Still relatively fresh, so to speak. You
Mm.
know, but I also really enjoyed the. I don't know if this is the correct word, like the transposing of like historical clip-its and scenes throughout the entire movie.
Oh, like the news reports?
Yeah, news
Yeah, that was
reports
cool.
and like seeing the punks breaking down the Berlin Wall with sledgehammers as well.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I quite like that. I think also,
I always like those little details.
yeah,
It was
yeah, that was cool.
adds a
did
little
like that.
extra layer of immersion.
I like, also like, yeah, the end of the Cold War is usually not where stuff's set. It's usually like the height like
Right.
60s, 70s type of time. But I think Atomic Blonde also suffers. This is just me, but I just watched a couple of weeks ago Bridge of Spies, which is also like set mostly in the Berlin Wall. It's mostly about like weird espionage stuff between each side of the Berlin Wall. So kind of the same sort of idea, like on a basis. But I think Bridge of Spies is way better. You seen it?
I didn't.
Excuse me.
You haven't seen it?
No, I knew it was, one of Spielberg's latest ones, but I don't know.
I thought it was really good.
Was this the one that centered around the U2 pilot?
Yeah, the Francis Gary Powers
Yeah.
gets shot down, and then Abel, the Russian spy guy, in the exchange between them. I thought it was really good.
I gotta see that. Also
Sweet.
one of my favorite historic settings, early 60s.
Yeah, I can tell. Is that one on the list?
Bridge of Spies?
Yeah.
I hadn't put it on the list, no.
All right. Well, if you're interested, I'd be up for that.
Was it, like, really, really good?
I thought so. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'd be down.
All right, cool.
We'll have to check that out sometime.
Cool. Tusk is like next, like top priority, though, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So we're doing Tusk next. Sounds good to me. I really don't know what to expect because what I thought it was and what the sort of impressions I've got from you are not the same thing.
What did you think it was?
Well, I thought it was like a really twisted horror movie type of thing, like Human Centipede except walrus.
So Kevin Smith definitely took inspiration from Human Centipede, like he's said as much.
So wait, when was Tusk made?
It came out in 2014.
Oh, that's
That's pretty
very
really
recent,
recent
yeah.
in that case.
Mm-hmm. So he said that it is, or one of the influences was Human Centipede, but I don't know. I can't see myself wanting to look at Human Centipede because it just sounds.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Yeah,
No.
I've seen enough parodies to get the general idea.
Okay, I've seen it and its sequel, and the sequel is much worse in like terms of disgustingness. But the first one's just sort of weird. Like it isn't that disgusting. Like, I mean, it is, but once you've got over the fact that they're pooping in each other's mouths, it's like it doesn't have really anywhere to go from there.
I've seen like
Except from one end and out the other.
Yep.
I've seen clips, and the clips are just enough, and just the very idea of like what it means physically and surgically for those people to be connected the way they're connected
Yeah.
is just unspeakable to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be, but they probably would, die. I mean, before
yeah.
start working mechanically. But
Like I heard about the end how the person on the head and the tail and the person on the tail both die.
yeah.
And the person in the middle is left there.
The thing is, though,
That's
when
just
they're alive,
horrible.
like ass to mouth is not like a strong link. Like that's just pure skin. If they, it would have
Yeah.
hurt, but if they'd have just pushed and pulled, it would have been fine.
Jeez.
I'm just saying they would have
I don't wanna
scarred asses and faces. But
I don't
still.
want to think about that movie.
Fair enough. The
There-
sequel is much more disgusting.
There are lots of movies that I want to watch, and that is not one of them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The sequel is like a copycat killer type of guy, but he's much more amateur. Like he isn't a surgeon, and he's like using staples and stuff, and it's way more disgusting. You don't look like you're enjoying this line of conversation.
I am not enjoying talking about Human Centipede now.
Fair enough.
And
Well,
so
Well,
which should tell you that Tusk is much more fun than
Human Centipede isn't fun.
I don't imagine it is.
No.
did he also mention if King of the Hill was one of his inspirations?
King of the Hill,
King of the Hill.
the cartoon.
Yes,
What do you mean?
because there was an episode with a very specific scenario where you know Bill, the old loser army sergeant who cuts hair. So Dale approaches him one day after Bill is diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome, so he can't cut hair. He goes into a sort of depressive slump, and so Dale, of course, with his myriad of conspiracy theories, uh, puts forward to Bill that he was unwittingly the subject of a Cold War experiment to turn Army soldiers into super, super Arctic commandos who were basically half man, half walrus.
There was
That was the very first thing that came into my head when you explained the premise.
No, there is no mention of that.
But that came out well before this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea, Kevin Smith got the idea while he was recording a podcast, right?
Yes.
And like he said, hey, if you guys want to see me make this into a movie, like tweet at me or
Walrus,
something.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Hey, maybe that'll happen on this show sometime. Maybe we'll say something and you'll be like, hey, you guys want to see this? And then
he also had
the one weird guy that listens to this,
He also
like, yeah, make it.
he also knows how to scrounge up the wherewithal to make a movie when he gets
He already has a
Walrus,
pretty
yes.
substantial cult following.
yeah.
He made Clerks. I haven't seen a lot of his stuff actually. I've seen Clerks and Clerks 2 and Dogma, and I think that's it. I've seen one of the Jays and Silence Bobs, but I don't know which one I've seen.
There's only one movie explicitly called Jay and
Is
Silent
it?
Bob.
It was Strike Back?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
Which, like, the title would lead you to believe that maybe there is a first
yeah,
one.
it sounds like a sequel.
But
It's not.
he is going to make a sequel to Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, the reboot one.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah. I'll probably see it.
I will too.
I don't know if you mentioned this last time, but we saw him, Kevin Smith, live. He came to Tucson. And he seems like a really inspiring, interesting guy. So I think I'll see his
really,
movies
really
now.
is.
Yeah.
I want to see Dogma because it
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
sounds like a
Dogma.
lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. And it's got Alan Rickman in it. You can't go wrong with Alan Rickman.
No.
I say that, and
Does
yet
he,
I've
does
seen
he play
like,
the poop monster?
So you know of the Poop Monster. No, he doesn't play the Poop Monster. He's a much more...
Gracious.
Yeah. Well, he's a much more... he's an actual character. The Poop Monster isn't like a character who just shows up to be a poop monster.
What does he break out into a song like in Conker's Bad Fur Day?
No. Although, had he done so, that would have been the best movie of all time. I don't think Alan Rickman has ever broken into song in his life.
Kind of, sort of in Sweeney Todd.
Was he
Or
in
at
that?
least-
Is he Sweeney Todd?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I've only seen clippets of it, so I don't know if he
okay.
actually has his own bit.
I saw that the musical movie and I thought it was absolute wank. Have you seen it?
The Tim Burton movie?
Yeah.
No, I haven't because I actually have a fondness for Sweeney Todd as a musical. I'm not like well versed in very many musicals, but Sweeney Todd is one that I love some of the songs from that, and so I have a particular version of that play that I like to watch on YouTube, and the idea of seeing Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter not sing well. Some of my favorite songs ever written, like A Little Priest.
I can't really comment on the quality of the singing. I mean, it was like movie level quality of the singing. It was good, as far as I'm aware, but...
Depp and Bonham Carter are not great singers.
Fair enough.
At
But
least not when you compare them to Patti LuPone and George Hearn.
I'll take your word for it. I have no idea who these people are. There's already been a couple Sweeney Todd movies that weren't musicals. You know, Sweeney Todd is a true story. It's an actual murderer. Yeah, those things really happened. Which is strange that they made it into a musical. I don't think that kind of thing can happen these days. They'd make it into some terrifying movie or like a biopic, but a musical.
But it's way more interesting actually that it got turned into.
Like murders,
a twisted
cannibalization, actual
like
people.
almost a dark comedy.
Yeah.
Tragic musical.
Well, the movie with Ray Winston is not a comedy at all. It's pretty matter of fact.
I've not seen that one.
It's really good. It makes like a good point about like execution and stuff. And that's I think like the theme of the movie, but I think it's really good. I much prefer it to the crap Tim Burton one, which is rubbish. I saw it in the theatre. I don't know if this is going to be funny to the Americans, but I saw it in the theatre back when I was in England. And there was... do you know what a chav is?
Yes,
I
I'm
have an idea.
familiar.
I don't know an American equivalent, but I know like all European countries have a word for a chav. I don't know most of them are, but
I
like,
know what a chav.
Russians call them gopniks, but I have no
I know
idea
what a
what.
chav sounds like. I always think first of Rose from Doctor Who.
Oh well, that's like Cockney, I guess, but like chavs can be from all over. It's just like tracksuits and like street hoodlums, kind of, sort of.
Oh, like the guys in Kingsman.
Yeah, the
Like
guys at the
his-
beginning,
like his,
of Kingsman. There's a good
His
one.
mom's boyfriend
Yeah,
and his
Yeah, the
idiot
community
son.
that he grew up in.
right.
Oh,
So when I went to see Sweeney
horrible
Todd,
community.
yeah. So I went to see Sweeney Todd, and there was some chavs sat behind us, some like from the same place as me, like Northern. And we sat watching it, and they were singing obviously all the time because it's a musical.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, Johnny Depp starts singing, and this chav behind me just goes, "Why can't they send out?" And I pissed myself laughing.
What does that mean?
Why can't they send? Why can't they say anything? Why can't they send out? Well, it was hilarious. That was the best part of the
That
movie.
is a completely different language.
Yeah, well, Northern dialect isn't American friendly. I have to
Apparently
tone it back
not.
myself sometimes.
You ever get irate enough that it sort of comes out? and
Yeah,
people
that
have
does
no-
happen when I get annoyed. It happened at Sierra a couple times. Yeah, I'd get
Oh,
annoyed
boy.
or like pushed past the pointer. Like when reason goes away, the dialect comes back. But I've sort of gotten used to it. Kinda. Just depends on the situation.
I see.
Some people like Seppa's told me a couple times. Like, just don't worry about like holding back with the accent. Just go for it. When he can't understand what I'm saying when I don't. It's just kind of how it works. But yeah, why can't they send out?
I never would have guessed what he was saying.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I thought it was funny. At the time, I guess. You would have had to been there and been Northern. And know what a chav is. Yeah, it's too many layers. Too many layers. Yeah, but there's no real like American equivalent of a chav. I mean, there's sort of
Yeah,
Well,
there's
what's-
street
what's-
hoodlums in that.
What's
But
with the tracksuits?
I think it's just because like a tracksuit is like a sort of working class status symbol. Like, look, I have a tracksuit, and it matches and stuff.
That doesn't translate at
No,
all.
it doesn't.
No.
Tracksuits here are used exclusively for like track,
Yeah.
which is, makes sense. I mean, I think that's like a Russian thing or Eastern European thing originally. They just love their tracksuits.
Maybe so. One of the only times I've ever seen a tracksuit here in the States was back home in California. We lived in a I'd say pretty diverse community, and we had a couple Russian families. One of them was his dad was an Olympic shot putter in the 70s. I don't
Oh,
remember
wow.
which games he played in, but
American
was-
or like Soviet?
Soviet.
That's so cool.
So-
A Soviet Olympian.
Oh yeah, but of course this guy
He was
was
juicing
nothing
it.
more than
Oh yeah.
a shadow of his former athletic prowess, but he still had that tracksuit that he
Oh man.
wore, but it was faded to an almost pinkish color, and his
Oh.
beer gut was hanging out of the
Oh,
pocket.
That's so gross. That's all kinds of sad, actually.
Did he-
That's just a sad story.
Did he hang around on steps squatting?
Not as well. I mean, if I ever
Is
caught
that
him in a
racist?
snap,
That's borderline racist.
I don't
It's-
get it. How's that racist?
there's this whole
It's a thing they're supposed to do. Like Russians
it's apparently it's a
hang
thing
out.
that's
Gopniks hang out on steps and squat.
in tracksuits.
I don't mean like
bottles of
squat like
vodka and,
exercise. I mean squat like that's how they
flat
sit.
newsboy caps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess you don't have too
I've-
many Russians there in Washington.
No.
No.
They don't drift down from Alaska.
No, I mean, we stay indoors and try not to ever have to talk to each other.
Ah,
I
what
mean,
a nice,
that's
what a nice
Washington.
place.
Sounds like Finland.
I was,
Yeah. Yeah, it
I
does.
was in Spokane with a buddy, and we went in the mall, and we were hanging out, and I was just happy to be in Washington, and there's like a Washington souvenir shop, and we're like, hey, why don't we go peek in here? And the girl behind the counter was just working on her phone, and like I think I asked her a question, and she seemed offended that I like and confused that I like talked to her, and I was like, "Yep, this is that's us. That's my people."
What a nice little
Well,
place.
I mean, what is there to do in Washington but hide from cryptic murders and CGI wolves? I mean, it's
Yeah, that's obscure.
kind of sort of
I mean, you could be in a sad band.
sad,
Yeah,
man.
tons of sad bands.
I mean, you can. Enjoy
I'd say
the
that all I can think
enjoy
of is
the
Nirvana. I'm sure there's more.
enjoy the hot air balloons over Seattle that
I'm pretty
almost
sure.
threw my brother into a panic when he was a toddler.
What?
That's my brother was a special kid.
Was it terrified of balloons?
And if you listen to this, I'm sorry that you are a low hanging fruit. I love you.
Oh, it's no reason for it. It was just really terrified of it.
Yeah,
Balloons.
kids get terrified of everything.
Yeah, weird.
So
I'm pretty sure most sad grunge bands that you'd first think of all come from Washington.
Well,
'Cause-
Seattle's like the crucible.
Yeah,
The
so
birthplace.
Nirvana,
Yeah.
obviously, Soundgarden,
Oh,
Washington.
they're from Washington.
I think Alice in Chains are also from
Yeah.
Washington.
That's pretty much all of them.
I
That's 3 out of 3.
Pearl Jam.
Are they from Washington?
I think so.
I feel like Pearl Jam are only grunge by association. Their music isn't that grungy. It's like kind of upbeat. It's just his voice is all vowel. So-
Yeah, and that's what does it.
Yeah.
That's what does it.
Yeah.
I hate Alice in Chains.
I know you mentioned that before. I quite like them. They're alright. They're not my first choice, but I think they're
They're
alright.
not all right. They sound like a warm, flat beer poured over an anthill. That's what they sound like.
wow.
How often is this a sound that happens frequently in your life?
No, I just
You're like, "Yeah, it's
I think I
Well,
might
what
be.
else are you gonna do in Washington? Huh?
I think I might be somewhat synesthetic, and when I hear
Ooh, big word.
when I hear Alice in Chains music, it's slow and heavy,
Mm.
and it just makes me drowsy listening to it.
Okay.
And I just imagine the color. It just makes me. It evokes the color brown,
Mhm.
just a very unremarkable brown, and I just think, brown and sludgy, like a warm flat beer poured from a can.
Right.
It's not a nice beer. It's from a can,
Okay.
and
Probably a
poured
Bud Light.
and poured on an anthill.
If it's warm and flat, it's a natty light.
So then you got.
Natty ice on it.
So you got warm, flat, mildly alcoholic mud with drowning insects intermixed.
That is metal as fuck. You should write that down. Just make a concept album out of that.
It's
So metal.
called Dirt by Alice in Chains.
Yeah, alright, fair enough. It's already been done. Fair enough. Yeah, I like the sort of stuff that led to grunge, but not so much grunge itself. I do like Nirvana quite a lot, but I think Bleach is really good. I mean, it's an acquired taste, but I prefer
Their
punk
first
stuff.
album?
Yeah, like where they were all scratchy and
I don't
unrefined.
I don't care for that.
But I like
album.
scratchiness and unrefinedness.
I like one or two songs off of it. Like About a Girl. That's a
That's
good
the
song.
one.
But I like it because it sounds more like something off of Nevermind.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like that album. I like the sort of. It's got a lot of feeling, you know. It feels pretty sincere. I mean, that's just punk for you, though. It just feels sincere for the most part. It's got its exceptions, but I like the like proto grunge stuff, like the Melvins and that kind of thing. It's sort of like the Alice in Chains thing you're describing, where it's like heavy and slow, but sometimes it's not slow. Sometimes, I mean, the Melvins basically invented thrash. I don't know if you've heard of the Melvins, but that's their
I've
sort
heard of the
thing.
Melvins, but I
They're
don't
kinda
know
like-
their music.
Slower, heavier suicidal tendencies, if you know those guys. Nope. Okay.
The Alice in Chains song that I think of first is, I think it's called Rooster.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
It's horrible.
But they've come to snuff the rooster, man. You know, he's not gonna die. I like that song.
Oh, I don't. It's exactly
woman?
that. Yeah.
I'm grabbing the parts.
It's exactly that slow, drowsy sound that I can't stand. Well, I think we're probably done talking about it.
Pretty good.
I think we're probably done talking about Atomic Blonde.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, shall we wrap this one up?
Oh, yeah,
Perhaps.
All right.
So, Atomic Blonde then, like, sum up review, what would you say?
I think I enjoyed it. I liked it, and I would watch it again because I want to comb through the convoluted plot.
Fair enough. I think for me, it's the kind of movie where if you're browsing Netflix and you don't know what to watch and it's on there, give it a go, but other than that, I wouldn't go see it.
That's kind of in the same boat. I mean, I enjoyed it, though I probably wouldn't watch it again. That's just coming from me, someone who just doesn't like action flicks as a genre. But for what it was
You don't like action as a genre? That's like most movies.
well, I mean, like films that are just marketed as like action spy films or like Fast and Furious.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I probably won't buy it on Blu-ray, but
Well, you're the only man left who buys discs.
but like you said, if it shows up on Netflix, I would revisit it.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Speaking of which, this being like a sort of public forum, Netflix, bring back Dread. It's the only reason I kept my Netflix account.
Oh, I haven't. Well, that hasn't been a problem for me because I bought Dread.
You
But
see
yeah.
that?
Oh, I love
oh
Dread.
well,
Oh,
la di
I
da,
love Dread.
la di fucking da. We can all be like Diamond Jim Brady here with his collection of discs that he bought with money that he apparently has in abundance.
I probably
Just-
shouldn't
just-
buy so many Blu-rays. But
Well, no, I'm being a
I-
facetious ass,
yeah.
but
I like the idea
I mean,
that there's like one guy left. Go
for
on.
sure, I will
mean,
continue to buy physical media
I mean, say like
because that way, if every other copy of it burns up somehow in some horrible disaster.
I love that. That's why you keep them. But
Well,
I was
no,
actually
no.
about to go
Well,
say the exact
Well,
same
it's
thing.
not a
Right.
completely unheard of scenario. Think about it. Think
You're
about
right.
what is the greatest movie trilogy ever created? Star Wars.
Godfather?
I haven't seen Godfather, so I can't argue that with you.
list.
It is on my list, and I'm gonna get to it. But I was gonna say Star Wars, but the theatrical cuts of Star Wars, legally, are not available.
Really?
Really. So, unless you are one of those precious few people who has held on to your copy of the original trilogy on VHS tape,
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
then
I just-
then it's gone.
I love
Like,
the idea
you
that-
cannot watch those cuts of the film unless you've preserved it.
I love the idea
So-
that like a Mad Max apocalypse is going to happen, and you're going to be some like warlord who specializes in having all the movies and DVDs and stuff.
They
You're
shall
gonna be
call
like-
you the archivist.
Yeah, that's a pretty good villain name. But like you just like wearing a loincloth and like a cow skull or something, and just,
like some-
draped like.
Well, I'd have
And
necklaces.
some
No, I'd have it
discs.
have you know how Virgin Mary is always depicted with a halo. Well,
It's a disc,
yes, it's a
like
it's
a
a
vinyl or something.
it's a bunch of DVD discs.
It's a laser disc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a,
All right then, that's Atomic Blonde.
It were alright.
We haven't developed any kind of outro for this.
Oh, you're thinking of like doing like a sign off type of thing?
Yeah, no idea.
Go.
You don't get a sign off.